A lawsuit filed just last night is drawing new attention to a cancer-causing chemical called ethylene oxide. It's used to sterilize about half of all U.S. medical equipment. 5 former educators who worked at the same high school near Chicago blamed their illnesses on a sterilizing plant that used the chemical. Consumer investigative correspondent Anna Warner is with us to talk more about why there is this connection, or why these women think that there's a link.
Right. Well, Jerika, that school is about 3/4 of a mile from the plant, and the women believe that plant gave them cancer.
Your doctors have told you that they can't cure you.
It is not curable.
Margaret Erdmanis is talking about her terminal blood cancer.
I'm going to see next Christmas.
And you don't know, do you?
I don't.
Erdmanis is one of 5 women who all worked at Hinsdale South High School and all later developed cancer.
Will you just give me a hand raise of who has breast cancer? Okay, and your cancer?
Is Waldenstrom's a form of lymphoma.
The reason for their cancers? They say a nearby plant they never even knew was there. For over 30 years, company Sterigenics sterilized medical equipment in this building using a gas called ethylene oxide, a chemical known to cause cancer. Unknown to residents, the plant released thousands of pounds of that invisible gas into the surrounding neighborhoods for decades. Former teacher Peg Valdek.
So many of us taught with our windows wide open in the spring and the fall.
She and former educators Erdmanis, Rose Kepler, Carol Tufo, and Jeannie DeBrock all say,
Had you ever heard of ethylene oxide?
No.
What they did notice over the years, they say, was the number of their former colleagues who also came down with cancer.
There were 5 in the wing that I worked in.
In my department, there's six of us.
And we used to talk about don't drink the water.
Right, we did that for years, yeah.
Because we needed a reason for why people were sick.
Ethylene oxide is used in medical sterilizing plants and chemical plants around the country. Experts have known for decades that the toxic gas could be linked to cancers, including breast and blood cancers. But it wasn't until last year that residents in nearly 20 communities around the country found out that by a new EPA analysis, their cancer risk from exposure to the chemical might now be higher. The Sterigenics plant in Willowbrook, less than a mile from the high school, became a flashpoint for protests. Now! It brought awareness and anger.
This is a death sentence that you're passing on to all of us.
I am as mad as can be.
Is that why you're speaking out?
Yes, yes. I'm worried about the people that do not know. They need to know your health is at risk.
You know, it's not only a local issue, it's a national issue. And people are unknowingly being exposed without having to be.
Sterigenics now faces multiple lawsuits, but told us in a statement it's confident that it is not responsible for causing cancers. The company says it has consistently complied with and outperformed applicable regulations. But lawyer Sean Collins, who represents the 5 women, insists the company knew there were risks.
Well, they were told.
He points to this letter from the Illinois EPA to the plant's former owners in 1984, warning that when its sterilizers were built, ethylene oxide emissions would be several magnitudes higher than desirable.
I've never seen a situation where before a company even opened its doors, it was told, if you do what you say you want to do, you're really risking the health of your neighbors. And then it went ahead and did it anyway.
Is it possible in your mind that maybe they thought they were being protective as a company?
No, not at all.
No,
You just got that right in front of you?
Not at all.
No.
Sterigenics closed its Willowbrook plant in September, citing problems with a lease. But nationwide, more than 100 sterilizing plants still use ethylene oxide.
There has to be another way to clean medical equipment rather than poisoning the rest of us in the United States or wherever they're doing it.
Medical device manufacturers disagree with that idea. Their association, AdvaMed, told us that medical sterilization facilities need to remain open in order to avoid what they call a potentially catastrophic shortage of critical medical devices sterilized through this irreplaceable process. both that group and the FDA say that if more sterilizing plants shut down right now, there'd be a shortage of some critical medical devices. Now, the EPA is working on a new emissions standard for the chemical for next year. Meanwhile, some of the other communities, possibly at higher risk, are now looking at this issue.
So you have 100 sterilizing plants in this country. Are there alternatives?
So there are alternatives, although that group, AdvaMed, maintains that those alternatives don't necessarily work for all medical devices. They say there are certain things you need this for, but I think the hunt is on for alternatives, and the FDA is also encouraging companies to develop alternatives.
Really great reporting, Anna. Thank you very much.